And yes, everybody who was on the inside knew there's going to be a dot-com explosion and then a collapse, and they knew that they were going to do real estate, and all of the banks went along with it. I mean, can you imagine a banker of sane mind leveraging 50 times deposits? And they were all doing it, as well as the brokerage firms and the hedge funds, etc. But the point is this was a planned event. They want to bring down not only the American system of finance and economics, which have done a pretty good job of it so far. They want to bring the whole world down. They want us all on our knees so that we can accept world government.
Well, and I'm having a problem, and I won't mention the host that's on this network, that doesn't understand that socialism is socialism. And that is what they want to set up worldwide. It's not going to be a communistic system because that doesn't produce anything. You give people the illusion that they're earning money and making money, and then we're just going to tax the snot out of you. And that is socialism. That's redistributing the wealth out there. And people are not getting. I told them, I said, you can't be a little bit pregnant. If you think Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security and government health care or anything else is a good thing because the government is best suited to distribute it, well, then you're a socialist. Admit it and get over it.
Okay, one more question.
Go ahead.
In the near future, do you think that these banks that are holding back on reporting all these foreclosures and stuff like that, do you think they're going to actually, all right, well, I'm just thinking whether or not they might actually turn them in so it looks like, the crash is really happening because they're holding back right now so it doesn't look so bad, but do you think they'll let the floodgates open?
Good question. Bob, what do you think they're up to? Because
I think that they will at the right time when they want to do that. And, they have a schedule that they're on. It gets disrupted, needless to say. But that's the way it is going to go.
I have not seen any real reports on personal bankruptcies. Have you, Robbie?
Well, in Arizona,
I get corporate ones right here.
We are breaking records every month. It's all-time record. Oh, look, I mean, you want to talk about bankrupt? I'll tell you who's bankrupt. The banks are bankrupt. I mean, there was a little story that nobody paid much attention to the other day. It was from Bloomberg yesterday. Said that more than 150 publicly traded U.S. lenders own non-performing loans that equal 5% or more of their holdings, a level that former regulators say can wipe out a bank's equity and threaten its survival. Then you go to MarketWatch yesterday, they say delinquency rates for loans and leases at U.S. banks increased to a record 6.49% in the second quarter from 5.58% in the first quarter. This was announced by the Federal Reserve. That means the entire banking system in the United States has its non-performing loan ratio increased from 5.58% in the first quarter to 6.49% in the second quarter, a record, higher than 5% level at which the survival of a banking system is threatened with collapse. Well, we're there already.
And, Bob, you said you had the commercial?
Yeah, the second quarter set a new record for the number of corporate defaults with 82 non-financial events of default consisting of 16 names in media and entertainment. That last debt was $254 billion, far larger than the $102 billion spread among 69 defaults in the same period in 2008. So the non-financial bankruptcies are starting to mount.
Scott in Massachusetts. Hello, Scott.
Hello, John.
Hi.
Thank you for all you guys do. It's tremendous, and I enjoy it. And I just wanted to say that the next shoe to drop that I can see, gentlemen, is credit cards. And I took advantage 5-6 years ago in some cases on like 2.99% money. And I've been paying that off slow but sure over the whole time while inflation's been raging at 15%, right, Bob?
Right.
Over 5 years. Now what they're doing, now this is Chase, and I know this for sure. My minimums on one card that was at $100, and I was looking at last month's payment, is now $251. Because I always just paid the minimum. I'm keeping their money. I got it at rock bottom interest rates here. But Chase has raised their minimums on 2 of those loans that I had. One went from 100 to 251, and the other payment I made last month was $200, and that went to over $460 on the minimum payment. So they're putting a crunch on this whole credit card, and I call it loan sharking. And what I see the banks doing, the biggest scam that I see is this credit card thing on the vendor end, on the merchant end, which I'm a merchant with a credit card machine. They're extorting 2%. It's like protection racket. On the other side, they're loan sharking. And what's going to happen is between now and next February, they're going to try and put so many people into default because in February of next year, the Congress passed a law that said that if one default happens or late payment on a credit card, all of them can't go up. Only the one that they defaulted on.
Right.
And that's going to happen in February. But they're going to push everybody into default previous to that and use the bankruptcy laws that the previous gentleman was talking about that was implemented a year or so ago into effect.
Yeah, and
next year, what I see around this time, if the whole thing hasn't blown to hell, is this junk car clunker situation being a car bubble, where we got everybody out on these cars, and all of these cars are going to be sitting around.
Well, and what they've done is got a premature jump on the market, and this should play out. It should naturally play out. The people that could afford a car, they're stealing sales from next year, and I don't see the economic situation in this country being any better next year. I see it being worse.
Absolutely, John.
Yeah, so what shape of the car industry is going to be in next year? How many more layoffs, plant closures, so on and so forth?
Yep, and I just see these people like Bob was saying earlier, they've got this stuff planned out 20 years.
Sure.
I believe that because, I got taught accounting, double entry bookkeeping, and watched these guys operate. And if you don't have a 5, 10, 15-year plan in a corporation, you don't have a plan. And these people have the biggest plan to subjugate the United States of America and the rest of the world to them through the use of slave labor from China and what have you, through the debasing of our currency, through all the things they're doing. The tape you played at the beginning of the program, John, that was magnificent. I mean, people are just watching as they get flushed down the toilet.
Yeah, and I don't think the real outrage is hit. All of this hasn't settled in yet because they've been hit with everything but the kitchen sink. But once
and the next shoe to drop is the credit card.
Yeah.
Because if they're doing, now I have the resources to handle the increase in these minimum payments. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people are maxed out to such an extent that they're not going to be able to, and that is going to further subtract from the money in circulation for the merchants, which is going to be putting more bankruptcies of people who have businesses into effect, and they're just ramping this thing right into the ground. And that's what I see.
Yeah, and this is going to exacerbate the problem with the real estate, commercial real estate bubble that's going to start popping. Continued downward sales, more properties coming on the market through foreclosure, whatever. There's no solution to this. And again, I will say, if we're going to be dealing with this fiat money system and bailing out the bankers, what should have happened on this deal is X number of billions set aside for mortgages, help with that, credit for the companies so they could limp along a little bit more. Everything that they're doing is exacerbating the problem. The real problem here that we're facing is production. We need to produce our way out of this, making goods, people having jobs to produce the goods in order to buy the goods. And, Bob, you've been hot all over this issue.